I had a brief moment in my life where a friend and I tried to do a podcast for a few episodes.
Oh boy.
It was really hard. It was really hard. We realized we weren't good enough to continue it.
You have to have stuff to say.
Yeah.
It's the gift of gab.
Right.
You can get it. I don't have it really. But it's the people that can go on and on. It's about, make it sound interesting.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. People have to come back and want to listen to you. Yeah. And I guess we realized maybe that wasn't the case.
Man.
Yeah.
You should start a food podcast.
Yeah, food podcast.
I know.
We could. The Boise's own. The Crisp Podcast Network. There you go.
I like it.
So, 5 o'clock on Wednesday, we're here at Cinder Winery. Welcome, everybody. I'm Tyler Bradley. I'm the wine club manager. You've seen me before, and you're being subjected to me again. But today, I'm really pleased to welcome Christina and Jake Sandberg, the owners of Crisp. And hello, you two. Welcome.
How's it going? Thanks for having us.
Good to see you.
Of course. And today we're going to kind of introduce them in a deeper level. So if you've been to Cinder at all the last few years, you have either eaten their food from their tent and then their food truck, or if you've been here in the last 2 months, you might have had one of their cheese boards that they specifically curate for us and make fresh. So we really are excited to have them in today and talk about their background and how they started Crisp. And before we get to that, I just want to remind people that we're still open 11 to 6 every day. Tastings by reservation inside. Our patio is open for 1 week longer. We're going to end the patio season with a huge Halloween party concert. There are a few tables left for booking, so you can go to our website or cellarpass.com and search Cinder, and you can book your table. It will be outside, but we will have fire pits and we'll make it as warm as possible. And Charlie and the Changelings will be performing. And we will have a cheese board special and a special on the Valentina that day as well. Please, if you have a costume, feel free to dress up. It is Halloween. I might make an appearance. I won't say what my costume is, but just keep in mind, if you see me that day, I might be really embarrassing. The other thing I want to mention is we have our Chardonnay as the staff pick, both the 2018 and 2019. So if you buy 6 bottles or more, you get an extra 10% off your normal discount. And reminder, if you're in the wine club and a 12-bottle member, you cannot get more than 25% off the wine. So the math doesn't completely make sense. Just trust us and buy some Chardonnay. It's getting colder. So if you like white wine, Chardonnay, especially in the winter time, fall time, great food wine. And with that, let's start talking about food with these two. So the first things first, I would love to know why the name Crisp. So what's the genesis of the name? Who came up with it? Was it a collaborative effort? And what do you think made it so reasonable for that to be your business?
First of all, Tyler, thanks for having us. This is great to be here. It's good to see everybody here. The name Crisp, I always thought when people talk about food, one of the things that I think people want is, you say, crispy on the outside and soft in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's just such a great texture. And to be honest with you, I said, let's Google some food words. Because I didn't wanted to be chefy. And so we were looking at words, and the word crisp came up. And we were going over a lot of different names, and so I thought crisp flavors, crisp aromas, crisp textures, and we kind of gave it a couple days, and that's how we landed on it, crisp.
Cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and everything I've heard from you has been crisp and to the point. And I guess, so you both start this business. How did it come about? What were you two doing before you were doing Crisp full time, right? Like, this is your job, this is your gig. So Christina, where were you before Crisp? And Jake, where were you?
So I was downtown working at Fork, wonderful restaurant. I loved working there. Got a lot of inspiration from being downtown in general. And, Jake and I had just talked about doing our own thing. We had these ideas of dishes we haven't seen, and we wanted to try to be different and bring a new concept here to the valley. So we decided to kind of go off on our own. We started in a tent and kind of graduated last year to the truck, which was a big step.
That was a big deal. You guys were stoked on that. I remember that.
Yeah. 2 winters in the tent. Ugh.
Yeah, not
That
good.
was rough.
Yeah. And Jake, what about you? What were you doing?
I was working at Hillcrest Country Club, and under a great chef there, Chef Troy Tolbert, great chef of the area. Glad to have worked under him. And just got to the point where I'm thankful for Christina. She said, how long are we going to do this? Neither one of us have a problem with working for some people. There's a lot less stress to it and all the other thing, but she said, when are we going to do something on our own? We both want to. I don't know. So we kept talking about it, thinking about it, and we finally made a move. So glad we did.
Yeah. And you mentioned you wanted to do something that you felt was missing from the valley. So what is that, and what is the concept of crisp? So what is the genesis of your menu? It's very eclectic, and it fits the crisp name, but also you two do food from all over the place. A bunch of different inspirations. So what was that missing thing that you guys wanted to put out into the world?
We kind of, Jake and I have been together for a while, and he exposed me to a lot of different dishes. And kimchi, I'm sure some of you have had our kimchi. I had never had kimchi. Totally grossed me out. But I tried his kimchi, and I became an instant fan. It's such a great condiment on things. And then I just thought, after having something like that, that's so acquired and so texturally and flavorfully good, that what else can we do that hasn't really been here? Because, I grew up in Mountain Home and here in Boise, and I had never really been exposed to kimchi, because it's kind of an Asian, Korean deal. So
Also, before we had the name Crisp, we were trying to think of a direction to go. Should we do Latin food or French food? We kind of came to the idea that we've been around a lot of food. I've been around a lot of food, cooked in Minnesota, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, now Boise, and just want to dabble in other cultures while paying respect to the cuisine. I can't see doing just one thing forever. It's so fun to explore and celebrate different cuisines around the world. Like I said, also paying respect and doing it correctly. We just enjoy all different parts. So,
right, yeah, straddling that line between respecting the culture and respecting the dish, while also being true to what you want to eat. Right. What inspirations, Jake, since the way it's split up from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that with your chef background, Jake is making the food, Christina's the one that's organizing and doing the social media and shopping. You said you do the shopping, which I can't even imagine those food bills. That must be crazy. But Jake, in your chef background, do you have inspirational chefs? Are there any particular things that have inspired you in certain ways with your culinary style yourself?
The people that I've worked for, to be honest with you. I got really lucky, and I did choose well who I was going to work for. But one of my first jobs after I got out cooking in the Army, which was a great experience too, I was working for a place called the Dakota Bar and Grill in St. Paul, Minnesota. And the chef there saw me work. I was new, a little nervous, and he pulled me aside and said, I can see that you care about this and you're going to do something in this business. And we're happy to have you. And he would taste wine and let the cooks have a small little glass of wine to taste before the dinner service. And I thought that was so cool. He was showing how it went together. Food and wine goes together so well, allowing us to do this. And there was a Pinot Noir Aries from Washington we had. I always remember that. I ordered a case and gave it for Christmas. But always, and I love Pinot Noirs, and that moment inspired me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Pinot fans unite everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that inspiration. So Minnesota, and is that where you grew up too?
yeah, born in Minnesota. Go Vikings.
So we have Minnesota, which St. Paul and Minneapolis have never been, but in terms of the food and wine scene, I've heard tremendous things. So growing up there, like, not sure if when you were growing up that was the same, but makes sense that someone would come out and have some inspiring stuff from there. And then Mountain Home, obviously, you're local, and you've seen Boise, and you two have been a part of this. You've seen Boise change in the food scene.
Yeah.
So what do you think going forward? You guys have gone from a tent to a truck. Do you have goals to expand beyond that, or are you happy right now? Do you want to expand how Crisp inspires people and how people enjoy your food, or is it kind of a one thing at a time approach?
Well, we're kind of just feeling it out right now with COVID. It's so hard to estimate. I mean, we really want to expand and someday have a special spot of our own. But I don't know how the climate is right now with the current pandemic. And
Right.
so sometime soon, we're hoping within the next 2 to 3 years maybe, have
Okay.
something, a brick and mortar.
We are doing well, and that being said, we enjoy doing the work, and we think our food is great, and hopefully most of the people that eat it do as well. But as good as the food is, and as good as the food can be coming from us, it's being served on a paper plate.
Right.
And that's just not where we're going to end. It's just not, and it's fine. We're not above it. But we will have a restaurant. We've already, Christina started getting realtors involved, and very slowly, but it's something that we don't have to do it. We need to do it. So it will happen. Don't know when. But.
And one of the questions from the audience is, how are things going with COVID? You said you're doing fine. It's obviously been very strange. I've seen you guys so proactive about going to neighborhoods, doing like a take and bake stuff. Like, what's it been like, and are you guys doing okay, all things considered?
Well, we've always been close to the Boise Farmers Market. That's kind of where we got our start, and they have a really, really good drive-through situation, and we've been able to get some of our products in the Boise Farmers Market. And you know, as that being our kind of our roots where we started, that's definitely helped, and we really appreciate all of your support. But yeah, we've been thinking outside the box, trying to do like take and bake dinners with Meriwether. We've done the delivery, the dinner delivery. That's always nice for like parents that have kids that just
Sure, yeah.
get dinner and have it delivered. I don't have to leave the house. So, and you know, we're always trying to, you know, we stay masked and we sanitize and all the protocols that are called for.
Yeah.
But if I may, it has to be said that a big reason why the Crisp food truck is so successful is I joke, I'm doing the cooking and she does everything else. And cooking is 25%. Christina is a gifted booking agent at keeping things rolling. most of the ideas, I'm like, what? And then it ends up working.
Yeah.
So her mind is always going. I go to bed. She comes to bed 2 hours later with a plan.
Yeah.
And I would not be doing as well without this one here. So I'm very thankful.
That's awesome. Because
Yeah.
I can barely book my own life. So
I'm-
having someone by your side actually able to do that, so you can focus on the cooking side.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you guys, how did you two meet? The kids thing brought it up because you guys have kids and I see them in the truck.
Yes.
So first of all, how did you two meet? Where did this start? And also, what do the kids think about? Do they like working in the truck, or are they your kids and it's just they have to be there?
Well, yeah, I mean, the kids, they like being a part of it. And I do think that them being with us is really teaching them values for life, like watching us work hard and trying to be, progressive about hard work and, determination pay off, especially with this business. And they appreciate food. They really do. Our oldest, he'll try everything once. Last night we had Indian food and he tried it, so it was good. But back to your question of how we met, we were actually both working at the same restaurant. Jake had just moved here to be with his daughter, and he was given the managerial position at the restaurant that I had worked at for a little while. And so even though he was the manager, I was kind of showing him the ropes. But then I was so fascinated because his knowledge of food and just anything I came up with dish-wise, he was able to execute, and he'd make it for me, and it was so good. And
I have to tell though, so I was cooking it was the Griddle in Meridian, and I was just kind of getting acclimated to this Boise place that I moved, and the owner asked me if I wanted to manage the restaurant, be in charge. I said yes, and he said, I have this girl that used to do the management here, kind of run it. I want you to talk to her. She can kind of show you how to get this thing going. So I'm interviewing Christina across the table, sitting at a booth, and honestly, I'm sitting there, and she's sitting there beautiful as ever, and I was really just like, wait a second here. What if? I could feel it. There was a chemistry first meeting her. What if some type of something chemistry? So it's funny that one thing led to another, and all good things.
Wow, the Griddle, the romantic capital
Yeah, I know.
of the Treasure Valley. Little did we know. Cinder, I like to think is, but I don't have a story quite like that. So before I forget, we're not just drinking random wines that I chose. We're drinking our Ville de Jardin, and we're drinking our Valentina, and apparently these are your two favorites at Cinder.
yes.
I'm going to get Christina a little more
Thank you.
because she's empty. Empty glasses are not our friends. Remember that? So, for both of you, for one of our release party weeks, you were the caterers twice a day for 7 days in a row. You got to know these wines really well, probably just as well as the staff, quite honestly. And so I'm going to put you on the spot right now. So, Jake, why do you like the Ville de Jardin? It's not just Chandler, it's not just me, it's Jake as well. And why do you like it? And what does this wine make you want to eat? So what do you want to prepare for this right now?
I like sweet wines, and this is going down perfectly for me. It's kind of the balance of sweetness and sharpness there, but I could probably drink this one all night. But what comes to mind for me is a couple different things. Some halibut, possibly.
Yeah.
Also, I was thinking of pork tenderloin, mushroom dusted pork tenderloin with some risotto. I could also drink this quite nicely with some cioppino, seafood cioppino.
Now, what's cioppino? Because I've had it before and I can't remember what it is.
It's a San Francisco dish, and I learned it from a chef in Florida. I worked at the Hyatt. Seafood stew. It's
Okay.
like the Italian bouillabaisse, which is French.
Gotcha.
So the history of cioppino is the fishermen would have their leftover fish from their catches in the day, and they were immigrants, and they'd give money to have some of this food. They would ask the different fishermen they were asking to chip in some fish for the pot so they could eat their meal after their long journey of the day. Chip in. So cioppino, that's allegedly how it started, but seafood stew, some fish, some shrimp, some squid probably in there, but I like it. Sometimes there's potatoes. I put a little pasta in mine. I'm a big pasta fan. But yeah, probably some cioppino.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Ville de Jardin, obviously, it's got the muscat, just crazy aromas, but it's tart. It's also got the fruit. And so seafood makes total sense. But Valentina, so Christina, you love this Valentina. Mm-hmm. What do you want right now with this?
Any creamy pasta.
Yeah.
I really like, we did a creamy mushroom pasta last pasta day that was really good with the wild mushrooms and ground porcinis in it. And I just think, especially with winter coming, like a nice, full, well-rounded red is always good to have when you're about to sit down for a nice, heavy, cream-based meal. So I'd probably go with that.
I like it.
Creamy mushroom pasta.
We always do these live tastings right at 5 o'clock, like right when I'm getting hungry, and some days I have not eaten enough, and now you guys are here and killing me. And we have some fans out there, so it looks like Claire said she loved your chicken curry at Lark and Larder the other day. And that kind of goes in, you just mentioned seafood dishes, you mentioned pasta, you have the pasta days that we're starting up here at Cinder once a month, and then you have chicken curry. I mean, it's all over the map. So my last question before we have any other questions from the audience, please ask anything you want. We'll put them on the spot and talk about it, maybe talk about how the wine goes with whatever your question goes with. But when you guys are at home, you're cooking for people all the time and you're selling food, but I'll go with Christina first. What is like your go-to? Do you have like a comfort meal or a comfort food that's what you want all the time?
Well, you know, when red pears are in season and they're perfect, I like sliced pear with some really good blue cheese and some candied walnuts. It's so good as a snack, as a meal, as an in-between meal. Before a meal, after a meal.
Right.
So yeah, I like so yummy.
And that's relatively simple. Obviously, the pears need to be in season.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
If they're not, it's no good. It's not the same.
Yeah, totally. What about you, Jake?
I was going to make a comment about that one. We got married in Banks. I know we're past Horseshoe Bend at the depot there.
Oh.
And then we visited back there, and you know what we brought was pears, blue cheese, candied walnuts, and snacked on that down by the river. So she's right. That is, and it's also a good food memory. So.
What's your favorite dish?
The people want to know, Jake. Okay. They must know.
I know this is quite simple, but I'm a huge fan of pasta. But my favorite thing to eat on this planet is Alaskan red king crab legs. One ingredient. Sorry, but once a year we do it. We go to Costco and buy the ridiculously expensive crab legs, and we do that. So, crab legs.
This shows that Christina knows Jake really well too, because she showed up a little earlier than Jake today, and I asked her that question, and she said Jake would answer crab legs. So clearly there's a theme here. I love crab. I could eat crab all day. I grew up near Seattle, and every Christmas we'd have crab for Christmas Eve. Dungeness, get some crab legs from somewhere. It's definitely for both of you. I had cheese for dinner last night, so I'm in line. I'm in line with both of you right now. Okay, couple questions. So first one is, what wines would you pair with items on your menu? So I guess let's pick one of your standard menu items. It could be anything, and then it could be either of these wines, or if you have, it could be something separate from a cinder wine. It could be something on your menu that you're like, this just goes so well with wine. Because you both have good wine experience relatively too. Whether or not you admit it, you work with food, and obviously wine goes with it. So what do you think?
What do you think, Jake? Oh, okay. I'll do it. I honestly think, with like we do this caprese salad in the summer. It's crispy chicken. It has calamata aioli, and I just always remember that dish with like a really nice like Pinot Grigio or something really bright. Some Chardonnays can go with it. That's a really good one. But now going into winter, I think honestly a lot of reds pair with a lot of stuff. We use in the halloumi poutine that's going to be on our menu probably now for the next 3 months because it's winter. We use Cabernet in the gravy, and that's a really good, like the Valentina would really go with it. It's heavy enough to stand up to that sauce and the pork and the cheese. But yeah, lots of stuff I think would go with our food, and we try and build the menu that way so that, if you don't drink red wine, there's always something that'll go with white wine or beer or nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
a dish that I really want to do coming up here as it gets colder is some short ribs, boneless short ribs with some creamy polenta and some roasted vegetables. I think that, with a Pinot, probably any of your reds here, would go really well in the coldness of the winter.
Bring it here now, and I'll drink this Valentina with that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, last question, and then we have a couple just things that you guys want to plug, and then a promo code for all of you. So stay tuned till the end. So after living and cooking in so many cities, Jake, and what do you guys love about Boise? So both of you, do you have a favorite local place aside from yourselves that you love to eat, or you really admire what they're doing with food?
Red Feather.
Red Feather?
Yeah, we try to go to other places. We end up at Red Feather, sitting at the bar, having happy hour food, and we just, for whatever reason, the lighting, the food, the service is really good. It's kind of between there and Fork. We kind of want to end up in that zone. Those places we end up going there. We really like it a lot.
Yeah.
Same for you?
Yeah. Tony's is a really good, if you've ever had, really authentic Italian pizza, that's a great place to go. And it's just the chewiness and the texture of the crust and the toppings. That's what's so good.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And last thing before we go, if you can't make it down to Cinder and get a cheese board, which they curate, and they pick out the cheeses, they make their fresh olive tapenade. It's delicious. Come down and grab one. What else is coming up on the schedule that you want the people to know about?
So, first Saturday in November 7th, we're going to be holding another pasta day. And we'll probably have a couple more creative seasonal pasta dishes that we'd like to experiment with and have available to try. And Jake will be making the fettuccine fresh that day, and it'll be super good.
All right, you guys. November 7th, Pasta Day here at Cinder. Follow them on social media. They're working like 6 days a week. I don't know how they have the energy to do it. And the last thing before we go, here comes Joe Schnurr. Yeah! Always on time. Always on time.
You're the best.
And last thing before we go, thank you for joining us. The promo code this week for an extra 5% off on any of your orders, shipping or pickup, is CRISP, because that's the word that we've been saying all day. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
And we'll see
Thanks,
you
Tyler.
soon. And come check them out sometime, you guys.